Cambodia Tzu Chi volunteers distribute rice to residents near a landfill. We'll look at reasons why students at Qiaoai Elementary School love vegetarian food. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Siri Su. Thank you for joining us. In Cambodia, Dangkor landfill is the only landfill in Phnom Penh, and many impoverished residents scavenge at this landfill. Due to the pandemic, recyclers have stopped collecting what the residents scavenge. As a result, these residents face financial difficulties. So the volunteers have gone there again to distribute rice.
COVID ហ្នឹងយ៉ាប់ដែរណាអីចាយក៏គេអត់ទិញតែចឹងយើងវាពិបាកអ្នករកអីចាយដល់ពេលតែគេអត់ទិញវាពិបាកក្នុងការរស់នៅសំបីតែការហូបចុកក៏ពួកយើងមានការខ្វះខាតវាមិនស្រួលទេ
At the landfill in Phnom Penh, residents have small wishes. They have a little strength.
No one is buying what we scavenged. In addition, it flooded due to heavy rain last month. The residents' houses have been flooded. Scavenging has become even more difficult.
Two months later, city volunteers have held another distribution, giving out 40 kilograms of rice to 346 families.
We're grateful besides thankful. I want to thank Tzu Chi for caring for us. They have never left us or forgot about us.
I feel very good having the chance to help my fellow countrymen. Many women cannot carry the rice.
Leading a harsh life, their compassion has been inspired.
I hope that the donation will be used to help flood survivors. This represents my love. As so many residents donate 1 cent to 10 cents, they ask me shyly if they can donate a little change. Of course, their love is great.
The landfill residents have little material goods, but their love and compassion can be great. Due to the pandemic, Malaysia's tourist business has been impacted. As a result, the cycle rickshaw drivers in Malacca have no business. City volunteers visit and at homes to assess their living conditions and help them get through the tough times.
Before movement restriction order was implemented, we earn about $16 a day.
As the pandemic is getting more serious, tourist spots are empty. Cycle rickshaw drivers who take tourists have suffered from poor business. Therefore, they face financial difficulties.
We're having a difficult time. Every day we have no business. It has been 1 to 2 months without any business.
With the referral of Tourism Promotion Bureau, Tzu Chi Malacca chapter is starting pandemic relief efforts.
Cycle rickshaw drivers do not have high incomes. In addition, they only have incomes when they work. If there is no business, they do not have incomes. Their current problem is that there is no tourist.
To carry our relief plan, we go to his house every month to distribute financial aid. After 3 months, if he is still employed, we will consider listing him as our long-term care recipient, especially some families with patients, small children, or prisoners.
Hello, Ade.
City volunteers visit the families to understand their living and working conditions.
I want to work, but there are no tourists. It is hard as I face financial difficulties. Fortunately, my mother and grandmother give me support, telling me to stay strong for the children.
To be honest, as long as I have the strength, I'll continue to work.
We have come close to cycle rickshaw drivers, and I feel for their suffering. I can feel their positive attitude. They are still waiting for the customers.
Volunteers have reached out to the cycle rickshaw drivers to get through the tough times, hoping that the pandemic ends soon so the tourists will return. Next, we take a look at a few of the volunteers being certified this year in Taoyuan. Lin Yangbing lost his legs in an accident, but is still very positive. Yang Jiaqi had a difficult last 10 years, but has overcome many difficulties.
When he was 27, Lin Yangbing was involved in an accident in which he lost both his legs, but he did not give up on life and continued living it. He's now a social worker helping others like him who have suffered spinal injuries. He had the idea of joining Tzu Chi to help more people, but had a misunderstanding about the organization which delayed him in joining Tzu Chi sooner.
I thought it was a complicated process to join Tzu Chi, like there needs to be a reference letter or examination and whatnot. But it was not like that at all. It's simply if you have the heart to give and serve.
With the vow the opportunity will arise, he completed his volunteering certification this year and plans to use the rest of his life to do more good.
I can help more and more people. Besides not being able to use my legs, I'm capable in other ways and have much to contribute to society.
Yang Jiaqi is another who has completed her volunteering certification this year.
Actually, being sick doesn't make life difficult. Having a negative mindset makes life difficult. We need to face things with courage.
She speaks from personal experience as she's had a difficult journey getting here. 10 years ago, when the volunteers first paid her a visit, it was when both her mother-in-law and husband passed away. Back then, she still had her own parents who were both ill that she needed to take care of. She got through those times because of the wise words the volunteers gave her.
My parents are not my burden. I'm a blessed person as I have two bodhisattvas at home.
In 2018, her parents passed away and she was diagnosed with cancer. She accepted her fate and is thankful she's still able to complete her volunteering training today. Lin Xinchen, on the other hand, has partial regrets for joining Tzu Chi too late, as his wife had hoped to walk the Tzu Chi path with him.
I brought my Tzu Chen flower for my wife to see, and when she saw my name tag, her lights lit up. She's not able to communicate with words now, but from her eyes, I could tell she was happy for me. I should have taken this path sooner, so we may have walked together.
He's now devoted to doing Tzu Chi and uses his wife's reusable tumbler as a reminder to himself not to live with regrets and also to keep a part of his wife with him at all times.
In Fujian, Xiamen, there's a recycling point in Zhongzhai village, which was set up by a couple. However, the recycling point was soon being torn down due to governmental policy. The volunteers look forward to starting a new recycling point.
We all thought the sister was weird. She had so much money, but was still collecting recyclables. We thought maybe her brain was problematic. It was later on that we found out she was doing this for charity. So the neighborhood was moved by her actions and took all those waste items to her home or asked her to come pick them up.
In the beginning, she was just doing it in the alleyway in between her house and the next door neighbor. There weren't so many people in the beginning, and there weren't that many resources, and volunteers who bring recyclables from their home. Later on, volunteers increased and we couldn't hold everything there, and the recyclables increased. Sister Qing Cai then led us the use of her storefront as a recycling point.
Lin Qingcai and her husband worked hard early on and saved a way to build their own house. Now, with environmental awareness on the forefront of her mind, everything she does is to help safeguard the planet.
Doing recycling at this storefront has been going on for 2 to 3 years now. She's really putting her heart into it. It's not just on the surface. We can all feel it.
Lin is able to devote her time fully to Tzu Chi, as when someone calls her up, she will rush out to save resources.
I am most grateful that my family supports me in Tzu Chi and supports me in recycling. What I also find comfort in is that my husband is not so against it anymore.
Lin travels around the Zhongzhai village in her electric scooter as 2020 is a year for change.
Zhongzhai village is being torn down, so our recycling point here is ending. It is hoped our new beautiful environment will be able to inspire more people to continue doing recycling. In Hainan, China, 2 recycling volunteers collect recyclables at a farming product wholesale market. Since there's a large amount of recyclables, they have to work from early in the morning till late at night.
我说做环保其实跟我们吃饭一样，我们有哪一天不需要吃饭吗？虽然说我们人很少哈，第一天虽然有一点疲劳，但是后来的这几天，接下来我们就是真的是越做越欢喜。
This place gives off a fishy smell, especially on rainy days. 2 women who stay close to the market's garbage cans want to collect thermal bottles on the ground. They need to peel off the plastic bags on the outside.
增加了那个鱼市水产批发市场。
At the fish market or the seafood wholesale market, there is a lot more resources than in the past. When I first saw the large amount of resources, I was a bit shocked. I felt hesitant.
下是有点被惊诧到了。
However, the master told us to do what is right.
对的事情一定要做就对了。
The 2 people recycling team did not back off. They collect PET bottles, styrofoam, and thin plastic coverings.
I get here at 5:30 in the morning. Since there is a large amount of resources, we collect 2 truckloads of resources every day.
Although they can feel the pain of the raindrops, they still persevere.
师姐，那衣服都湿了是吧？
湿了，只能这样了。待会儿回去赶紧换。
After loading the recyclables onto the truck, the volunteers still have to bring them to the recycling companies. They need to be humble because these recyclables are not popular.
主要是这收的东西，我要的，我工钱都不够，懂吗？我运费都不够。
哎呀，这个真的是我们这个东西，你说不收的话，全部就埋掉，然后自然界也无法消化。就尽量的，我们真的一起来，就是当做好事啊。
Working from 5:30 a.m. to 8 p.m., volunteers have become so tired that they cannot straighten their waist. Despite the hard work, these volunteers continue to do their best to protect the environment. In Taiwan, as early as 2010, the Ministry of Education has its junior elementary schools to provide vegetarian food on Mondays. However, after 10 years, 172 schools have stopped providing vegetarian food. Despite that, at Qiaoai Elementary School, thanks to the chef's efforts, students enjoy eating vegetarian food.
Hold on, guys. It's broccoli!
In the animation, children dislike broccoli the most. In reality,
我最讨厌吃青江菜和花椰菜。青江菜、花椰菜和苦瓜。青江菜。为什么？它苦苦的，很难吃。
During lunchtime, children take big bites of the food and finish eating it in a short time. They've forgotten that bok choy was in the food. The secret to delicious food is here. Chefs fry tofu until it is golden and crispy. They also cook the eggs, which looks tender and tasty. 4 chefs are in charge of cooking food for about 1,000 people.
We discuss privately about different food. We need to prepare different food so that children will eat them. I'm very happy seeing that children are eating food and enjoy it.
This is the weekly vegetarian day at Qiaoai Elementary School.
In the beginning, we provide vegetarian food on Mondays. So every Monday, they will say, oh, today is Monday again. Now we place the vegetarian day with a week. Sometimes they did not notice that, and they will find out after eating the food.
This policy has been implemented by Taiwan's high schools and elementary schools for nearly 10 years. For school nutritionists, every meal poses a challenge.
As we prepare a large amount of food, you cannot do anything about it. If time allows, we will ask kitchen worker to try cooking it for us. We know that children like fried food. In a month, we limit it to at the most 8 times.
Another way to allow children to fall in love with vegetarian food is to invite them to become little farmers. They observe and talk to the plants. They also have to water the plants and spread fertilizers.
I hope they feel connected to nature through planting the vegetables. By the end of the semester, we might eat plants they grow.
Regardless of their ages, the children have gained valuable experience. Sixth graders can enjoy cooking food by themselves.
After cooking it, the color is still very bright, right? Besides experience in making the noodles, they have also learned about food activities. They will come and tell us, "Auntie, it's delicious." We will feel very warm.
The children kept saying that it is very tasty, so I kept thinking that one day I should try eating it.
With the school's efforts, children are falling in love with vegetarian food. As technology improves over time, robots can take on the job of a cameraman. In the past, cameramen must take risks to film dangerous scenes such as explosions. But with the assistance of robots, risk may be reduced.
The scene of the explosion happens too fast for a human to react. This robot uses fast camera movement, using 4.2 seconds to surpass what humans are capable of doing.
The audiovisual industry utilizes robots as a cameraman since it has the ability to challenge a human photographer in terms of special angles and high-speed tasks, allowing work to be more precise.
In a blast scene, special effects may be used, but sometimes a location shooting is set up. But during the shooting of the 800 Heroes, a blast damaged cameras and injured several cameramen.
The war movies from the 60s to 70s have scenes of real explosions. During the process of making these explosive devices, the people behind this might not be experts on explosives. They can only rely on past experience for their own understanding. So when shooting these movies, there will be occasions when the amount of ignition power is misused, causing unfortunate events to happen.
In dangerous scenes, if we can use modern robots to help shoot footage, risk may be reduced. If repetitive camera shootings are needed, less mistakes will be made.
The robot's programming code memorizes the movement and locations. So if today I finish a routine, tomorrow I take it to the sea, and then I take it to the mountain. I may put together all these videos together.
Filming race cars is a dangerous task. Therefore, film companies use race car models to test out their robot's high-speed camera feature. Normally, what we see on television is about 30 frames per second, but the high-speed camera captures footage at a dazzling 240 frames per second. It captures footage 8 times slower than the normal playback rate. Therefore, it may capture moments a human eye can't see.
Actually, the robot programming is getting more human. If I wanted to remove the code today, I can attach it back to the string, so I wouldn't have to wipe it out and do it again. It's especially time-saving when we are filming. The remote controller operates like a video game controller. If I move forward, the robot goes forward. If I go back, up or down, the robot actually follows my movement.
This scene of looking back requires the cameraman to check the performer's actions and shooting location, and to program the robot's movement orders. A short scene of 2 to 3 seconds takes about 30 minutes to set up. Robots are far beyond flexible and a good companion to a cameraman, but can this technology really replace human labor?
There are 4 lighthouses in Taiwan. Among them, the Guoshan Lighthouse has become a popular scenic spot for tourists. Recently, the surrounding area has become eroded, representing something of a desert due to the lack of windbreak protection.
In order to set up an exhibition, a marketing company specially moved the sand to the Chigu Guosheng Lighthouse in Tainan. They heard that there was too much sand in the vicinity of the Guosheng Lighthouse, but they moved away the state-owned property, which is illegal. But how can there be so much sand here, making it like a small desert? The seawall is covered by sand and vines. Every time you take a step, your feet sink into the sand. This makes it difficult to accumulate sand. In autumn and winter, the northeast monsoon winds come, and the fine sand flies away, which can be painful. Some can't even open their eyes.
You can see that the sand does not blow in here. It is the northern section. We can see that there are a few protruding sand dunes on the north side. Compared to the outer area, this part is full of beaches.
The main reason is that on the south side of the Tainan Jisui River and the north side of Congwen River, there is severe coastal erosion and no windbreak forest at all, so the sand will blow away. Many people came here to see the Guosheng Lighthouse at the westernmost tip of Taiwan, but they didn't pay attention to this natural warning sign.
Previously, this entire sandbar leaned inland, so this lighthouse cannot withstand the effects of big typhoons, so it fell down.
Because of the loss of sand, the coastline retreated. Guosheng Lighthouse had to move 3 times. This is the difficult problem caused by wind, rivers, and tides. Looking back at history, the Taijiang Inner Sea in Tainan was a large lagoon in southern Taiwan in the 17th century. It was surrounded by sandbars and coastlines of the outer sea. Among them, sandbars were about 20 kilometers long from north to south and 7 kilometers from east to west, making it a unique local scene. Tainan's Kunsen Temple is the center of the Wangye worship in Taiwan. When it comes to the origin of the word Kunsen, it is a very special geographical phenomenon in Taiwan, literally meaning the body shape of a whale, and geographically being representative of the phenomenon of many sandbars in the sea. Since the Congwen River has been changed 4 times, a large amount of sand has been injected into the Taijiang Inland Sea, and the sandbars surrounding the lagoon have begun to break. Therefore, wind-blown sand is common. Wind blows the sand from the open sea inland, causing a big problem for the lighthouse for many years. Therefore, the management unit of the 6th River Bureau decided to deal with the problem of sand accumulation.
Our plan is to blow the sand from this side to the rear of our sea, Wall Road. The sand is expected to be cleared to the eroded coastal section on the site just mentioned to keep drops to protect the beach.
It is possible that the sand was not originally here and was moved for some reason. Then the responsible government unit is only moving it to that location, which needs it more as a compensation. But how to move it and how much is needed are some of the questions that must be considered on the technical side.
In addition to the problem of wind and sand, the retreat of Taiwan's southwest coastline has long been an age-old problem. Taiwan has changed its shape from a rather fat sweet potato to a thin sweet potato. In addition to climate change and rising sea levels, these future problems may be even worse down the road.
Philippine city volunteers continue to carry out work for relief programs in different parts of Marikina. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.